the Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Vern Lundquist here. And, of course, the legend, Gary Danielson. Gary, we're here today. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Florida. Tebow. And my guy, Greg McElroy. Herman Harvin. Mark Ingram. This is going to be a great game. Shirley Floyd. Kurt Purifoy. They're all here. I mean, we might even see Fred Weary out there today. Yes, sir. Smith is on the sideline. We are here in Alabama. It is just the 2 greatest teams ever.
If we ever have to report live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama,
it will not be doing the Vern Lundquist, Gary Danielson impression. I'll give Gary a little bit of credit. He's gotten a lot better. If anything, I almost feel bad that he has to put up with Vern these days.
Alabama. I don't know who's worse, Paul Feinbaum or Vern.
Oh.
Poll for the viewers.
Yeah, poll for the viewers on that one. I'm surprisingly now, ever since he went to the SEC Network, Feinbaum is more tolerable than Vern.
More tolerable.
Yeah,
let's say we like him.
Yeah, let's just go with tolerable.
Call it the Alabama SEC Network.
Not yet. But
not yet.
You know
it's getting there.
You know it's getting there.
It's not the Longhorn Network with a bunch of other teams.
They should have made a network for a team that can actually beat BYU. But with that said, we gave the Big 12 way too much credit to start this show.
Right.
This is episode 54 of the Matt and Ryan Show. I'm Matt, and of course he's Ryan.
Yep.
And for the second week in a row, we really have to start off
with the negativity?
Yeah. Let's just get this crap out of the way.
The Saints have given up the most points in the NFL through the first 2 weeks of football. Yes, it was on the road, but the Browns, really? The Browns?
Well, it was one of those games that, and this is not to let the defense off the hook.
Nope.
Definitely not. I thought they did improve. But
yeah, they did.
I think they're getting way too much of the blame in this one. I think you could really go all the way around the table. And actually, the person I'm blaming the most is Sean Payton.
Sean Payton.
I think he's gotten way too crazy. And, yeah, you have 3 running backs on the team, all averaging over 4.5 yards a carry. You are slicing through the Browns' rush defense like hot knife through a butter. In a game that you actually had to lead, and one of the plays that drove me absolutely nuts is a 3rd and 5.
Yep.
And of course, Brees takes the sack, takes us out of field goal range. Even if you throw it there, what are you doing a play that it seems like we're going for the end zone on
3rd and 5?
And also,
in field goal range.
In field goal range on the 30-yard line. But also, why is the Saints so hesitant to run the ball out of the shotgun? We seem to never do that. We did it every now and then with Sproles. I mean, we're afraid to run the spread offense.
I never really looked at that, man. I never really thought about that. But, you're right. We had such success running the ball, yet we relied to the pass game on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, going for 25 yards when all you need is 3 or 4. I mean, Ingram was having a fantastic game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at one point,
here and Kyrie were running.
All 3 of them were really running well. And if anything, run something out of the backfield, like a screenplay or something. Don't force it downfield. I mean, that's what cost us the game against Atlanta, was the interception in the end zone. Jimmy Graham, there's no excuse, none, for that interception.
Yeah.
6'7", 200 and some odd pounds, and the ball hits you in the hands? No excuse.
Yeah, that one did go right through his hands.
No excuse.
And that's what I initially thought at first. Everybody was getting on Breeze about it. I was like, yeah, it was a little high, but...
When you got a target like that, you put the ball where only he can get to it.
Right. It literally went right through his hands. Now, did he make up for it and have 110 yards and 2 touchdowns? Yeah,
no, he didn't. No, he didn't make up for crap.
Okay.
He didn't make up for crap.
Okay.
Because if I'm not mistaken, they got 6 off that turnover.
Yeah, it was a pick 6. $10 million, you better make that catch, Jimmy.
Better make that catch. God damn it, you're getting cut in my franchise if you don't make that catch. But I guess that's why we do this show. We're not Tom Benson.
Or Mickey Loomis.
Or Mickey Loomis.
Well, with that said, the Saints are 0-2 to, I guess, shed any kind of light on it. The division champ last year started 0-2, and so did the San Francisco 49ers.
You had two playoff teams start 0-2 last season. The division champion in the Carolina Panthers, and the NFC
West runner-up.
NFC West runner-up was starting 0-2. So when you look at it, I mean, we still got 14 games left, and we finally open at home this weekend against the Vikings, who have more drama around them than the Ravens know what to do with Adrian Peterson being an alleged child abuser, coming into the Dome with a very young but nonetheless very talented defense.
Yeah, that's definitely the strength of the Vikings. Sure.
They run the ball well. Of course, Adrian Peterson's the best running back in the league. Emmitt Smith, he's coming for your numbers. A lot of success, a lot of talent, with Cordero Patterson on the outside. Kyle Randolph isn't a bad tight end.
And then the old man Greg Jennings still
sticking around.
Still can hang around for sure.
Where's their weak spot, Matt?
I'd say quarterback.
Matt Castle. 3 interceptions last week at home against the 4. I think it was 4 interceptions last week against the Patriots at home.
Just decimated them.
Who, let's not cut the Patriots defense short because they are revamped.
Right.
And they are playing some really good ball
they're
right now.
Super Bowl contenders.
They're always a Super Bowl contender. You got Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. The rest doesn't even matter. But, the Patriots have a really good defense this year, and the Vikings are still in that, would you even call it a rebuilding phase, trying to build a franchise around Adrian Peterson? Allen is no longer in Minnesota, so their defense is...
I think the Vikings have been trying to rebuild ever since we officially knocked Brett Favre out.
Since we put their quarterback into retirement. Yep, that happened.
I mean, that's 4 years ago now.
That happened. And the Love Boat incident.
Ah, yes.
And
Mike Tice. How do we forget about Mike Tice?
Can't forget about the Love Boat incident.
I still don't know how that guy stuck around as long as he did.
The Love Boat incident, that's how it drives. The Saints are going to be looking to establish a run game early on at home. We're almost untouchable at home, but Minnesota's also going to be looking for a W as well, and Adrian Peterson's going to be out there with something to prove, hopefully to get his mind off of what's been swirling around him in the media the past few days. But the one downfall the Saints have this week, Matt, is Mark Ingram's out for about a month with a broken hand.
Yeah, so that means you're going to have to see, well, I think it's more of not can Pierre and Kyrie Robinson step up. I think they're more than capable. I'm curious to see if this week that means, especially since Ingram is, I always like to call him Sean Payton's boy.
Yep.
With Ingram out, is Sean Payton going to go into complete freak-out mode and really start to just air it out? I'm talking 75, 80% of the time, regardless of the score, because he thinks we can't run the ball with Kyrie Robinson and Pierre Thomas. If anything, and Sean Payton's a smart guy, he really is. We did just fine doing that against the Eagles in the playoff game.
That's true.
I mean, Kyrie and Pierre absolutely went off in that game when Ingram was sort of in the doghouse.
Mm-hmm.
He had a better game. I mean, he had the fumble against Seattle in the playoff game, but he started showing at least some signs of running
right
in that game as well. But you mentioned the Saints to return to the Terradome, where I believe they have not lost with Sean Payton as head coach since 2011, I want to say. We went undefeated at home last year. Actually, it might be 2010. I think I can check. Let's put it this way. I think the Saints have I want to say it's a 16 or 17 home regular season winning streak with Sean Payton.
With Sean Payton at the helm.
Because I'm pretty sure, I think we went undefeated at home in 11 and in 13 now, I think, and then I think we lost towards the end of 2010. We'll double check it to make sure. But actually, check it during the show while we're at it right now.
Yep.
That's the beauty of Wikipedia, of course. But I want to say it's a 17-game home winning streak.
It's pretty impressive.
With Sean Payton, because we went, I think, 4-4 with Cromer and coaching by a committee back in 2012. But Ryan, what's your keys to the game this week?
I think the big thing is we have to establish a solid run game early on. I think the wide receiver play is going to be crucial. Captain Munnerlyn is the star cornerback for the Vikings, and Captain Munnerlyn is a very, very quality quarterback. He'll be all over either Jimmy Graham or Marcus Colston. To touch on Colston really quick, it concerns me that
we didn't even look his way last.
Not even look his way, and I know
he's in the doghouse because of that fumble.
I would believe so. I never actually looked at it like that. Now that you mention it,
because he was definitely on the field.
But Joe Hayden's one hell of a cornerback, and Joe Hayden was jumping back between Jimmy Graham and Marcus Colston, depending on the packages.
Absolutely.
Captain Munlin's going to be all over Colston. I think if we get I think if we get Cooks involved early, Jimmy involved early in the passing game, and get Kyrie or PT some momentum, I think we have no problem with this game. The one thing we really have to be concerned with is our run defense. Bigger than anything, we have to be concerned with our run defense. I thought AP playing inside could easily gash us for 150 and 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be just another day at the office for AP. It was just 150 yards.
We're talking about the old touchdowns. We're talking about old Priest Holmes type of numbers.
We're talking Emmitt Smith, Priest Holmes type numbers. This guy, I mean, he's a talent beyond talent. This guy's one of a kind. He's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. So we have to just make sure we can contain Adrian Peterson and keep them one-dimensional. If we can force Matt Castle into some 3rd and longs, it should be a very long day for the Minnesota Vikings.
At least you hope, because we're actually almost insinuating that the strength of this game could be the Saints' secondary.
Yes. At home.
At home.
Yes,
the Saints are at home. Which, by the way, we did double check. It is 16 in a row under Sean Payton.
16.
It went undefeated.
2 straight seasons.
Undefeated in 11 and undefeated in 13.
So the last game we lost at home was Tampa.
Tampa in 2010.
We were there, weren't we? We were there.
I'm pretty sure we were.
I think we were.
But yeah, this week, and of course, if you saw the preview of the show, I'm throwing out one of my annual guarantees. I guarantee the New Orleans Saints will win this week. If the Saints don't win this week, I will self-impose a 1-week ban on myself from this show.
So you mean I got to do this myself?
I can direct you, but I cannot be on camera next week.
Okay.
That's kind
of we have to talk about
or Ryan could have a guest host.
What the hell am I bringing our show? Blanche, calling you.
Well, they can keep dreaming because the Saints aren't losing. It ain't gonna happen.
I'll co-sign on that.
It's a guarantee. Hey, maybe we should both co-sign it. We both won't get it.
We both guarantee that on Sunday at high noon the Saints will kick off, and at 3 o'clock the Saints will finally get their first.
We can even do that. We won't have a show next week.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
If the Saints do not win Sunday, we will not have a show next week.
And here's why: because the FCC will probably have something to say about all of the foul language that will be coming out on the show on Tuesday. We would probably be banned from the internet.
We might need some counseling from Allie.
The therapist here is going to need his own therapist.
But with that said, I think the Saints come home this week, get a solid win. I think the defense actually plays pretty well this week. I'm gonna go a little ballsy this week. I'm going Saints 31-17 this week at home.
That's ballsy?
Considering we're 0-2, I'm going to go a little ballsy.
Our offense has looked great when needed.
I think it's ballsy because I said the defense is only going to give up 17. Well, then again, they only gave up 19 last week if you take away the pick 6.
Technically, yeah, you're right. The defense only gave up 19.
I think they gave up under 300 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, they only had 100. Hoyer didn't beat us.
No.
We beat us.
Although he did help us a little bit, too.
Hoyer did not beat us.
No.
You know, the Terrence West did not beat us.
I think the Saints have beat themselves the first 2 games.
The Falcons putting up 450 yards in the air, that's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
Different ballgame. You got Matt Ryan, you got Julio Jones, you got Roddy White, you got Harry Douglas. I mean, what you going to do if you can't stop them? You can't freaking stop them.
Right.
We beat ourselves, and it all came down to on the road. You're playing in a tough environment.
Cleveland has the Saints. In fact, they've won 3 in a row in the Superdome.
They've won. I want to say 10 of the last 15.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I thought I heard that at about 11:45, listening to the pregame broadcast.
And the 3-4 defense has always seemed to be Drew Brees' kryptonite.
Whatever it might be.
Or Sean Payton's offensive play call.
35-17.
35-17.
And that's low-balling it because the Saints score big and they score quick and they score often at home.
And when you got 115-plus decibels and a probably very ticked-off Superdome crowd going into that game, it's must-win. You go 0-3, we're drawing up draft boards, and this is going to become
We're drawing up draft boards, and we're looking for heads to cut off in the offices.
Figuratively speaking, or
on paper, on contracts.
On contract. Yeah.
We're looking for who needs to be cut and who needs to be fired if we start 0-3 with the talent we have on both sides of the ball.
I'm calling Mr. Man going the satanic voice on that one.
You're fired. You're fired. But
there's your guarantee.
That's a guarantee first.
I always pull it out. Well, actually, I usually pull one out for the Saints and I pull one out for LSU. It's not this week for LSU. It's later on.
Not yet.
Speaking of LSU,
Speaking of the Tigers,
they open up SEC play this weekend. The gold game is at home against Moose State.
can I get a cowbell? Ding, 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 ding,
Hey, that's
ding,
bad.
ding,
It's
ding,
artificial
ding.
noisemaker. If they're bringing Cal, all right, here we're going to start a movement right now. If they are allowed to bring cowbells into Tiger Stadium, I'm calling for LSU students to make this the Vuvuzela game.
That would be freaking awesome.
Exactly. You want to bring your cowbells, then fine. We're going to make it the world's largest beehive.
The least we could do is play neck.
Yeah. Where's that been?
Because we have a crappy new drum major.
Boy, speaking of bad, they've been getting ripped pretty bad on Tiger Droppers this weekend. Rightfully so. How do you not play Chinese Bandits? How do you play first down when it's third down? I mean, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Yeah, to borrow a phrase from that sports network.
Yeah, the talking heads on the television.
But with that said, Mississippi State comes in and probably one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC in Dak Prescott.
The most experienced, for sure.
Absolutely. He's got a cannon arm, big frame type of guy.
He stands about, what, 6'4", huh?
I think he's at least
That's 6'4",
6'4".
240.
He's got a great arm, as we mentioned earlier, and he actually put some points up on LSU's defense in the first half last year.
This is true.
We did sort of adjust last week, but it's not going to be an offense that LSU hasn't seen before. Right? You see this all the time from the likes of Auburn and A&M and Florida Florida, God, since Urban Meyer really brought the spread there. So it's not going to be too many surprises. It's just can LSU be disciplined enough to stop it, which their defense, they've been playing a couple lesser opponents the last couple of weeks, but still, it's a shutout to shutout, Ryan.
When it comes down to it, Mississippi State has one of the most talented teams that Dan Mullen has had in his tenure there coming into Tiger Stadium this weekend. They're going to be looking for an upset. A lot of the talking heads on all these stupid sports networks have been calling for this upset. The Tigers are, I think at 10 and a half?
I think it moved to 9.
It's about a 9-point favorite at home. And here's what the Tigers have going for them. They haven't given up a point.
Since the third quarter?
Since the third quarter, early.
Early third quarter. First drive of the third quarter.
First drive, third quarter against Wisconsin.
I think it's 31 straight possessions.
31 straight possessions. The defense has not given up a point. 2 straight games of shutouts. Last game, they didn't give up 100 yards of total offense against a Division I school. I don't care if it's ULL, UL Monroe.
Monroe's going to be a bowl team this year.
They took a bowl team and kept them to under 100 yards of total offense.
And that's insane.
Another fascinating stat. LSU has not given up a play of over 13 yards in 2 games.
Wow.
Let that one sit.
Yeah, let that one
sit. The biggest gaining play that they gave up against ULM was 12 yards, and it was in the fourth quarter in garbage time. LSU has, you heard it here first, the best secondary in the SEC. Why, do you ask? It's by the numbers. We are averaging giving up 8 points a game over the first 3 games against 2 Division I schools and the national championship runner-up FCS schools who have averaged over 600 yards of total offense coming into Tiger Stadium 2 weeks ago in San Diego State.
We held them to, I believe, 200 yards.
And 0 points. We are outscoring our opponents 80, let's just do the math, 87 plus 28 is 115?
Yeah.
115 to 0 since we gave up the opening drive against Wisconsin in the third quarter. Some something got overturned, and John Chavis has these boys playing lights freaking out.
Well, I know at halftime of the Wisconsin game, Miles did tell them play like Tigers. I guess.
Oh, he told them a whole lot more than just play like Tigers.
Well, he had to keep the ESPN version of it.
I mean, that's ESPN national TV version. He had a whole lot of other quality choice words in there.
Yeah, he's a Miles in there. Absolutely. And Miles doesn't hesitate to use a little colorful language.
That's right. But I think the biggest thing to look for here is this is LSU's first real test on a solid defense. Can we establish the run and establish dominance in the trenches early? Look for Leonard Fournette to get about 10 to 12 carries. Look for Hilliard to get about 15. And look for our new fan favorite, the dark horse Darnell Williams, to get about 10 to 15 carries too. And let's not forget McGee. McGee being the senior leader, wearing the number 18. We're going to run the ball. We're going to establish the run early. but we have to be able to establish the pass game on second and third down to be able to divvy the ball up to the likes of Trey Quinn, Malachi Dupree, Ronald Diarse, and what's that superstar's name?
Who was on the Blitnikoff watch list now.
Really?
Yes.
He was Heisman dark horse last week.
Dark horse last week. That came out today that he's on the Blitnikoff, which the last one to win it for LSU, maybe only one with
Clayton?
Josh Reed. Yep. When Josh Reed won it, Clayton was a freshman.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think
about that.
Pretty sure Clayton had 1,000-yard season as a freshman. I have to go back and check that one. But, yeah, LSU has some pretty talented wide receivers that year in 01 for sure. I think, though, Anthony Jennings will have his biggest test, I think, since Iowa. I thought Iowa had a better defense than Wisconsin did.
As well as Arkansas.
And Arkansas. And then also, I think some of the guys you mentioned earlier, some key contributors in this game are going to have to be John Diarse, Trey Quinn, Malachi Dupree, guys like that, because I think Mississippi State is going to try to go out of their way to make sure Travis Durrell does not beat them. But I think also they're going to put 8 people in the box to they're going to try to make Anthony Jennings beat them in the game. And then also you may see Brandon Harris come in there for a couple of series to try to change things up. But Jennings hasn't really done anything to lose his starting job.
Absolutely.
And he was even talking earlier this week about that interception he threw late in the game last week where he was trying to throw it away and they said he screwed up. It was like, yeah, got to make sure to get the ball away. But I mean, it's also, I believe, LSU's only interception of the year.
That is.
Unless Brandon Harris had a fumble. But through 3 games, LSU only has 1 interception in a play when the game was never really in doubt either. And one thing that kind of got on my nerves is people freaking out. Like, oh, my God, we only beat you on my road 31-0. Well, one of them was a push on the spread. And 2, the game was never in doubt. I mean, yeah, we were up 10-0 at halftime. I think, personally, we ran a very vanilla game plan on purpose.
Right.
If anything, I think Miles is trying to make a point to the offensive line that they need to step up. And even though UL Monroe did put 8, 9 in the box a lot, and we still continued to run, I think he was trying to get them ready for SEC play.
Absolutely.
Because the teams are going to do the same thing, or if anything, to get them to step their game up because they're supposed to be the bread and butter of this offense this year, and they have played under par, especially in the first half against Wisconsin. I mean, that was just awful.
Dismal.
But I thought they did play a lot better in the second half, and Porter will be there for his second start, so him and Jennings will get a few more reps here.
Right.
It was nice of them to at least get a game under their belt before getting into SEC play. But I think that's where your game's going to be decided this Saturday night is in the trenches for sure.
Absolutely. Like I said, Mississippi State has a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. Their leading defender, his name is lost me for the second, leads the team in 20 tackles. They've got a quality.
Yeah, we were looking at him.
Yeah, we're looking at it before we went live here. They've got a couple of quality cornerbacks. They could just, so matter-of-factly, eliminate Traven Durrell from being that big deep threat that he's been the past 3 games.
Probably one of the more talented ones they've had since Fred Smoot.
Absolutely.
Back in the day.
Oh, nice name drop. I forgot all about him.
Right.
But this is where they got the likes of Malachi Dupree and Trey Quinn and all the young talent that the Tigers worked so hard to bring in over the past couple of years really can come into play. So we can really make teams have to wonder, okay, who's going to get the ball? Because we know Traven Durrell is golden. We know McGee is a solid 4 to 5 yards on a decent run. We know Fournette has the vision to break a long one. It's just we got to establish the variety on the offensive side of the ball to be efficient, to have them guessing. So when we do run a play action on 2nd and 4, that Durrell can get behind the defense and then it's lights out. On the flip side, like I said, the LSU secondary is probably the best secondary in the SEC right now. And Dak Prescott isn't the most prolific passer, but because he's mobile, these guys are going to have to really stay disciplined and stay on their coverages to make sure that they don't lose a guy as Mississippi State's quarterback rolls out of the pocket and force him into making bad decisions. If we can force a turnover, possibly 2, and then control the ball on the offensive side of the ball, this really should not be a game that LSU has to question. But like I said, Mississippi State has probably the best talent on this team that Dan Mullen's had in his tenure at Mississippi State. So really, truthfully, as my blind optimism always tells me, the Tigers are going to win by 21 because they're winning it's a night game at Tiger Stadium. This game won't be any bigger. I don't think it'll be any bigger than a 10 to 14 point game.
Yeah, I think
that's 14 is stretching it.
Yeah, I think it'll be fairly close. I'm going to take LSU 31-17 this one, but I think it might be one of those ones where LSU gets a late touchdown to put it away.
Okay.
I think State will hang around in this one, but at the same time, smart money's on Les Miles. He's 39-2 at home since 2009, with his only losses being to the, at that time, #1 teams in the country and #1 Florida
and #1 Florida.
Alabama. In that game,
in a game where
LSU completely outplayed Alabama. Somehow, what's the phrase?
Vegas.
Well,
I'm sorry.
No, it's stole victory from the jaws of defeat or something along the lines. I don't know. I've tried to put that game out of my memory.
There's a couple that we just like to have amnesia about. Selective amnesia. It is a real thing. Ask the mental health professional here. I think this game's going to be a little bit closer, Gobert, which is weird that you go with the big spread and I'm going to call it a close game because I'm normally the one that's
I did at least go to a late put away.
Right.
So
24-17 is very reasonable.
Like in the fourth quarter, it will be 24.
I'm calling this game about 28-24 Tigers. The spread, like we said, is about 9. Vegas is calling it about a 9-point line. A couple of the talking heads and websites and the research we've done are calling this about a 7 to 10 point game. I think the Tigers struggle a little bit. I think this will be the test that the Tigers have to step up to and see just what this young talented team is made of.
Is this a team that can challenge for double-digit wins this year, or are they going to have to claw their way to 8 or 9?
I think at halftime it looks like Tigers are in control. I think it's going to be like a 14-7, maybe a 14-3 ball game at halftime.
State gets a play,
gets a couple of plays, stays right back in it. It's a typical SEC 12-round boxing match, and LSU is just going to be the better team at the end of 4 quarters. I'm calling 28-24, no more than 35-24.
Yeah, if this game was in Starkville, I'd be nervous about the Mississippi State game for the first time in a long time. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Mind you, Les Miles is 9-0 against Mississippi State in his tenure so far at LSU. And it has been 15 years since the Bulldogs have beaten the Tigers, whether it be in Starkville or in LSU.
It was a 3-8 SEC team, and they won by 1. It was actually 17-16.
99, the last time. So in this millennium, the Bulldogs have yet to beat the Tigers, and I think that trend continues on Saturday night.
But Tiger fans should not start freaking out or start calling for Les Miles' head. This is a close ball game.
This will be a close ball game.
Mississippi State is a good football team, and it's unfortunate for them that probably one of their more talented teams in years is when the SEC West has their top 5 teams in the top 10 in the country.
SEC West is by far
it's murderer's row.
It's the toughest division in the entire conference of football. The SEC West could be supplanted into any conference, and all 5 of the top 10 teams in the SEC West could be champions.
Here's one that'll really blow your mind is that the technically worst team in the SEC West right now is Arkansas, and they're 2-1, and they beat the brakes off of Texas Tech last week.
And are averaging some ridiculous amount of 400 yards of rushing per game.
Yeah, they're a tough team to stop.
Which is weird because in years past we're so used to seeing the likes of Ryan Mallett and a high-flying, prolific offense with a solid running back. Darren McFadden.
We're seeing
Felix Jones.
We're seeing Wisconsin ball.
Yeah, we are. Wisconsin ball has now been put into the SEC, and Bielema's got these guys looking good.
They're on the rise.
Their first real test was this weekend at Texas Tech, and they just absolutely wiped the floor with Texas Tech. It's going to be interesting to see what the SEC West has going down the stretch.
Absolutely. Speaking of the SEC, we're pulling it up right now.
Rapid fire.
Including a big one on Thursday. One of the SEC favorites this year, Auburn, goes on the road to Kansas State.
That's Thursday.
It's a Thursday night game. Can old Bill Snyder and the Wildcats pull the upset, or is the Gus Bus going to roll it?
We're going there first?
We're going there first. Why not? We'll go with the big one first.
I'm going to have to come back to that one, Matt.
Okay. Because you want to come back to it?
I'm going to come back to that.
All right.
We come back to that.
All right.
There's a few cupcake picks.
Okay.
And that one's an interesting game.
Okay.
Because you're having you're having mirror teams play against each other.
Yeah.
You know, K-State, when they had Colin Klein a couple of years ago, was the exact same type of team as Auburn is now. So that's going to be interesting.
Okay.
Let's come back to that.
All right, we'll go to the Cupcakes first. Troy, who used to be a bowl team regularly, 0-3 now, goes to a very ticked-off Athens, Georgia this week.
What's the spread?
Georgia's a 41-point favorite.
Georgia covers.
I think Troy will cover, but Ty Gurley will
200 yards
submit himself back into the Heisman race.
He's still in the Heisman race.
I would say if he somehow got out of it, if the media starts going on the Marcus Mariota train and
they're going to stay on the Marcus Mariota train.
And another guy we'll get to in a minute, actually, the next game. Texas A&M goes to Smoot this week. A&M is a 33-point favorite.
Southern Methodist?
Yeah.
Next.
In fact, I think June Jones resigned from there recently.
I think so.
I don't know if he got fired or was asked to leave.
Something happened with that.
But yeah, Hill is gonna have a field day with these guys.
Hill's gonna have 350.
But
Smoot,
not that the game's ever gonna be in doubt, but Smoot put up points because
A&M's defense.
Show me something, A&M's defense. Rice outgained them last week. You know they lost. They put 480 yards on.
Most of them were on the ground too.
Yeah.
That shows danger for A&M.
That shows danger for A&M when they play the likes of LSU, Arkansas, Auburn, and Alabama.
Even Ole Miss.
Even Ole Miss. Because
see, y'all wonder why we do this show? The two minds.
Think alike. Moving on. We go to another Big Ten SEC matchup. The Indiana Hoosiers, if this was basketball, this actually would be a good game.
Kentucky?
Go on to take on Mizzou in Missouri.
Mizzou's in trouble.
Okay.
Mizzou's in trouble. But not this weekend.
Yeah, Mizzou's 14-point favorite. What's the wide receivers?
The wide receivers kicked off the team. That's why I said they're in trouble.
But this week, too much Matty Mock. Indiana's not that good.
Matty Mock, 4 more touchdowns.
4 more touchdowns.
4 more. Because he scored 4 last week, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
This kid should be on the Heisman dark horse watch. Matty Mock is very, very talented.
And speaking of Arkansas, they host the 3-0 Northern Illinois Huskies, who made the Orange Bowl a couple years back.
That's the Northern Illinois Huskies who played Florida State.
Yeah.
Oh.
Arkansas is a 14-point favorite at home. I like Arkansas big. I don't think they'll be able to stop the running attack.
See, that's one of those games you got to be careful about. Because Arkansas is only a 14-point favorite at home.
At home, you could think that. I don't think they'll be able to stop the running attack, though.
I think it's close early.
Okay.
I don't think Arkansas just puts it down their throat through 4 quarters of football. I think Northern Illinois has developed a really nice program the past few years. But, Matt, I think you're right. I think this is going to be about a 24, maybe a 28-point game.
And speaking of an actual SEC matchup, we'll be getting into a couple more of those, of course. But South Carolina, off their big win against Georgia, goes to a very struggling Vanderbilt Commodore team.
Vanderbilt?
It's in Vanderbilt this week. Vanderbilt struggled to beat UMass last week. South Carolina's a 3-touchdown favorite on the road. I think it'll be right around that. I got South Carolina by about 3 touchdowns.
I hate it when I have to do this.
Okay.
I have to eat crow. Because if you remember last week, I bashed Dylan Thompson lower than dirt.
Yes, you did.
And this kid sliced and diced Georgia's defense, the number 6 team in the nation.
Yeah. I remember.
He destroyed Georgia's defense. I don't know what Spurrier did to get into his ass, but something happened.
Spurrier owns Mark Richt. Let's put it this way.
And I think that's what it comes down to. And Dylan Thompson looked like a top-notch quarterback last weekend. South Carolina rolls.
So, you want to go back to Auburn, or do you want to go to the other game?
Well, there's only
2
others,
more,
right? Because we covered LSU.
You want to save Auburn?
No, go to Auburn.
Okay.
Go to Auburn.
Kansas State's number 20 at home. Auburn number 5 on the road.
Both undefeated.
Both undefeated. Auburn is a touchdown favorite.
7.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, you know what this calls for?
Uh-oh.
Blind optimism. This is my upset special this week.
Upset special this week.
I think Manhattan gets set on fire, and K-State upsets Auburn.
It's like Morgantown or something?
Manhattan.
Oh, you said set on fire. You know, like
I think they're gonna riot in Manhattan, Kansas, because Auburn goes down this week. I think they go into this week on a short week overconfident.
Sure.
I think K-State comes out and goes lick for lick with them the entire game, and I got K-State in this one. By no more than a touchdown. I think this will be the game of the week, and it's on Thursday.
Yeah, I think this will be a good game. I think this has shootout written all over it.
Yeah.
This might be a game where the first one to 40 wins, but
Gus Bus.
roll it. I like the Gus Bus to win. I think they cover too. I got them by 10. I think Kansas State will hang around though, but I think Auburn has too much speed.
Nick Marshall's still under center, right?
He's looking pretty good this year.
If they can corral Nick Marshall, K-State wins this game.
Yeah.
But that's my upset special. I'm picking it.
But yeah, I think Auburn has too much speed. And of course,
what led off this entire show to begin with.
We got Tuscaloosa, where the technically 3-0 Florida Gators go to take on the 3-0 Alabama.
No, now they're 2-0.
Oh yeah, that's right.
2 games.
That's right. The weather.
The first one got rained out.
I could forget. They were afraid to pay Idaho. Who you on Monroe beat, by the way. The 2-0 Florida Gators. Thank you, Ryan. Take on the 3-0 Alabama Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa this week. Florida is actually, I think, a pretty substantial underdog. They are, 2 touchdown underdogs.
14? I thought it was going to be 17.
Can Florida's defense keep them in this game? That's my key.
I was debating between this game and the K-State Auburn game as my upset special. As a Tiger fan, I'm pulling for Florida. But Florida got straight manhandled last weekend against Kentucky and got lucky coming out of the swamp with a W against the Kentucky team, who's really on the up and up.
Yeah,
they're really on the climb.
I'm not
going to take.
Sort of like Arkansas.
Yeah, very much so. I'm not going to take anything away from Kentucky. They played the Florida Gators down to the wire. A couple of calls go one way or another, and this game is a completely different ball game. I think Alabama is suspect.
Ooh. We're going for a double upset here?
I have to be reasonable to a certain bit. My X factor to this upset happening, Blake Sims and the turnover ratio. Blake Sims and the turnover ratio. This guy everybody's raving about Blake Sims. Oh, he's such a great dude. This guy's terrible. But no, you know what? This guy's awesome. He's a fantastic quarterback. Because last week when I said somebody was terrible, they sliced and diced for a couple hundred yards and a few touchdowns and had the upset of the week. So, no, Blake Sims is a fantastic quarterback, and hopefully this reverse psychology works.
You think he's on a short leash this week if he struggles?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, I personally haven't seen it.
Coker looks like Forrest Gump sitting on that bus bench.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Lane Kiffin. I still am not a fan of Lane Kiffin.
Sorry. Parental discretion advised.
He makes Daniel Tosh seem like a decent human being.
Wow.
Zing. I really want to pick Florida, but I don't think they got quite enough firepower in offense. I got Bama close.
Late.
Close.
Bama ices it late.
Because I don't think Blake Sims is that good. Unless he prove it to me, Blake. Prove it. But I got Bama by a touchdown at home. I think this will be a respectable ball game. I think Florida's defense is going to hit them in the mouth, and that could shock them.
Remember the last time Alabama's offense got hit in the mouth in Alabama?
Yes, I do.
What happened?
They lost.
Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Hit you with the John Cena.
With that said, wait, I haven't picked an upset special, but I do have one.
Bum, bum, bum.
This week, speaking of Morgantown earlier.
Oh, yes.
I'm going with West Virginia to knock off the cocky, arrogant, big game Bob Stoops. Because every year, Stoops finds a way to Stoops, just like Bart Rick finds a way to Rick. Morgantown, couches will burn this week.
Couches are going to burn.
Couches will burn. People will get drunk. Well, they'll get drunk there regardless. Hopefully no child beatings.
Hopefully not Adrian Peterson.
But Hey, how ironic you said that because where did AJ Peterson play?
Oh, close.
I got Morgantown this week as my upset special.
What's the spread on that game? Do you know?
It's
probably
I can pull
like
up right
17.
now. I think it's.
If it was in Norman, it's like 24.
I think it's semi-close. Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now.
There.
Little too far.
That's gonna be an interesting game, though.
I want to say it's around 2 touchdowns, but that's just me guessing. But
you know, if we go back to week 1 and you look at how well West Virginia played against Alabama, and this same OU team is who beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl at the end of last season. West Virginia really could give these guys everything that they can handle.
And it's a tough place to play
with that high-speed Dana Holmgren offense. And you're right, Morgantown is
who I think really needs a win. I think he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, he will be. He will be at the end of this season if he doesn't put together a successful season, which is sad because he's had a couple of really good years at West Virginia.
Yeah, but one thing I was talking to somebody with the other day was he just living off of Bill Stewart's recruits, almost Cokerizing. Speaking of Larry Coker,
might have been
7-point favorite Oklahoma.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm going to go with West Virginia this week.
You know, we call Virginia Tech and Ohio State. Hopefully we're both right on this one.
Speaking of Virginia Tech, what a letdown after that.
I'm very happy that Virginia Tech lost to East Carolina, actually. Because even if Ohio State ran the table, they ain't making it to the college playoff.
Absolutely.
Because they lost to an unranked Virginia Tech team who lost to an unranked and way smaller East Carolina team the following week at home. They were in Blacksburg. And East Carolina came in there and smacked them in the face with, I want to say, 3 interceptions.
It was 21-0 before you can blink an eye.
It was 21-0 in the second quarter. That was game over.
But anyway, our camera battery's about to die soon. So, Ryan, you got anything before we call off for today?
Thank a veteran.
Yeah.
Why not?
Big fan of our show, Nick Archella. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, big man.
Good guy. Yeah, I know we brag him for some team that's 1-2 right now, and
I would be okay if they got the title UL. I would be okay with that. I've thought about that. Make ULM back to Northeast Louisiana University, and give UL the title of UL. They're the third biggest city in the state. You're not going to give UNO the title UL.
They're probably the 4th best team this year.
It doesn't matter. Give them the title. Whatever, we digress. You got anything else for the folks?
Just the usual. Nah.
Good night, America. Who that?
Yeah, and who that? Vikings suck.
Ciao, Peter.